Honorable guests, BCCP fellows, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and a warm welcome to the inaugural conference of BCCP on regulatory challenges in digital markets privacy. It is a tremendous pleasure for me to welcome you today to an exceptional event, one that marks in the best possible way, I believe, the official start of a venture that began over 2 years ago over a cup of coffee. Today, we proudly present to you, to the academic world, to the policy work, the Berlin Center for Consumer Policies. To start off this exciting day, let me spend just 1 or 2 moments to explain this new kid on the block. BCCP is a Leibniz Science Campus established last year and is co-financed by the German Leibniz Association and its member institutions. BCCP is a strategic cooperation between 2 Leibniz research center, the German Institute for Economic Research, the DIW Berlin, and the Wissenschaftszentrum Berlin, WZB, together with several faculties of the 3 universities in Berlin, the Humboldt University Berlin, that is hosting us today, the Free University Berlin, the Technical University Berlin, the Berlin-based Business School, European School of Management and Technology, and the Hertie School of Governance. We believe that BCCP is achieving the main goals of the Leibniz Science Campus program by bringing together these 7 individually very strong institutions. We are trying to promote regional cooperation in Berlin through our strong thematic research and policy partnership. This is our strategic response to an otherwise very fragmented university and non-university research landscape in Berlin as in Germany, on one very specific focus unifying theme. The unifying theme of BCCP, of our research and policy work, is the role of consumers, how they behave, how they interact in the marketplace with producers of goods and services, how they react and are affected by policy interventions. We think that this is a tremendously important issue. And indeed, if you look at the webpage of the European Commission, they state that promoting consumer rights, prosperity, and well-being are core values of the Union. These issues affect each of us every day. Every day when we go to the grocery store, when we buy a book online or something else online, when we make transactions with our bank, when we talk to our tax accountant, every single time that we buy something, be it a good or a service, we think, or at least we hope, that we are entering a fair interaction. But this is not necessarily given. The existence of institutions and policies protecting and enabling consumers, I think, is a great achievement of our modern society. And all these institutions and policies are what we call consumer policies. And it's an intense, dense net of laws, regulation, enforcement tools that seek to protect consumers, making markets work to their benefit. Conduct restricting competition to the detriment of consumer via higher prices, lower choice, lower quality, is constrained by the enforcement of antitrust and competition law. A variety of tax instruments, such as taxes for unhealthy consumption, like tobacco, alcohol, and unhealthy food, are an attempt to protect consumers and to bring them to a better consumption behavior. Even more directly, consumer protection regulation ensure that the terms and conditions of the contracts that implicit or explicit that businesses constantly stipulate with the consumers are fair. So think about when we go to the grocery store. So the European Union, for instance, mandates regulation that set the safety standard along the entire value chain, so how farmers produce, how the food is processed, how it is sold in the stores. And this is true for many other goods, most of the goods, so like medication, cosmetics, toys, electronics goods, but also for most services like banking, telecommunication, healthcare. So all these goods and services are subject to strict quality and safety controls. And maybe some of these are disputed, but I think that none of us would like to live in a world without such institutions. Yet, especially in our position as research and policy makers interested on this issue, I think we should never stop questioning whether these institutions, these laws, these instruments that we have are well designed and are effective, whether the benefits they bring to consumers are larger than the costs. And to do this, we need to think very carefully about many issues, and these are the core issues of our research program. What role do consumer preferences, bounded rationality, information deficit play for the design of policy? What is the optimal design of policy? Is there an optimal policy to solve this issue? And what interdependencies exist between the different policy areas? So today we will touch upon some of these issues. So if you think at competition and consumer policies, they very often deal with very similar and very closely connected issues. How can the economic rationale behind this policy be implemented within the constraining framework, legal framework? And last but not least, how effective are these policies? Do they work? And if they work, why they work? So these are the main issues, the thoughts that led us to create BCCP. On these issues, we want to make important contributions both in the academic world and in the policy work. And we think that Berlin is the perfect place to do that. So Berlin is not only an attractive city, but it has outstanding scholars in behavioral economics, industrial organization, consumer and competition law. And Berlin also has a deep and very established policy expertise. BCCP aims to take this existing environment and reinforce, expand, and institutionalize it to create an enduring platform on the broad issues of consumer and competition policy. This platform should not only strengthen the academic research that we do and encourage interdisciplinary research, but, and I think even more importantly, it should create a bridge between this excellent academic research and policy work. After all, and more than ever, I believe, policy advice can and should be based on serious economic research. This leads me to today's event. I think this conference and this fantastic program that we put together is the best example of what BCCP aspires to be. We want to be a great platform that brings together a diverse group of the smartest and most distinguished experts, academics, and policymakers, all with an incredible expertise on a very specific and policy-relevant topic. And it was not really difficult to think about a general topic for this inaugural conference, so we had just to think about what has transformed the world we live in over the last 20, 30 years as digitalization. The very essence of this veritable revolution is the exploding connectivity among people and the big data generated by these interactions. And the big data, its collection and exploitation brings enormous benefits, but also huge challenges. The instant availability of information impacts how every individual behaves, how we communicate and consume, how business work, thrive and fail, how society makes new discoveries, how governments design and implement informed policies. So think less than 20 years ago, on September 27, 1998, a new upstart search engine with a very strange name, Google, went online. 20 years is not a long time, right? And it was challenging the then dominant, still very young, new search engine, Yahoo. I think that not many of us thought that search engines would have become such a crucial element in modern economies. Since then, at a pace and a scale that was not really imaginable at that time, information technology has rapidly enabled consumers globally. But not everything is perfect, and many issues with the functioning and the impact of these very rapidly changing markets persist. And in this area of extremely rapid technological change, we academics and policymakers interested in protecting consumers and competition are struggling, are racing to keep pace. Privacy concerns and the ways to regulate business handling sensitive information are now at the forefront of international policy debate. This was not the case, I believe, 20, 30 years ago. So just look at what's happened the last 1 or 2 years. So the June 2013 revelation that the US National Security Agency, NSA, had unauthorized surveillance programs raised huge concerns in Europe about the US privacy standard. And 1 year later, in 2014, Mark Schirms and his Europe versus Facebook.org launched an international class action suit against Facebook, one of the big firms in this new world. And consequently, and this is the impact on policy, last year the EU Court of Justice struck down the 15-year-old Safe Harbor Agreement that had allowed free flow of information between the EU and the US. The replacement agreement, the so-called Privacy Shield, has been, and it is right now, a significant source of discussion and dispute between the EU and the US. So Paul Shaw will not be here today exactly because of these reasons. So, and we will talk about this surely very much during the last session of this conference. But these issues are not only related to data protection. So here in Germany, just a few months ago, the German Federal Cartel Office initiated proceedings against Facebook, on the potential abuse of a dominant position for the infringement of data protection rules. So this is a very primary in competition law and makes clear that the intersection between competition law, data protection, and consumer policy is very, very important. And it's just one glimpse at what the future will bring to us, I think. So all these questions at the intersection of consumer protection, data protection, privacy concerns, competition policies, antitrust in digital markets will surely keep us very much busy for the years to come. Today, we bring just a part of this discussion to Berlin, to the BCCP, and our intention is to do so at the highest level. What do we know about consumer privacy concerns? That will be the first section. So do consumers care at all? And if, how much? How do firms' incentives impact effective privacy regulation? So this is the second session of this conference. How do firms balance the provision of value to consumer using big data versus their privacy concerns? And finally, how do privacy issues affect the way government regulators work? We are really lucky today to have very prominent speakers and coming from all possible disciplines, economics, law, and technology, and I'm absolutely sure they will inform a very lively and insightful discussion. So before I conclude, let me make a final disclaimer and a very short remark. First of all, as you have noticed, this conference is being streamed live on the internet. All presentation and discussion will be posted afterwards on our webpage, thus documenting this event that is very special, and it's surely very, very special for us because it's our first opening event. After all, this is a conference on digital markets, so we thought this is imperative to do. However, some of you in the audience may not wish to be live streamed or be recorded for posterity. And of course, we honor such wishes. And indeed, we take privacy issues very, very, very carefully, very seriously. So there are some seats on the back which are designated not to be within the range of our cameras. So if you have some issues, right, about not being recorded, I realize they are not the prime seats on the back, but it's not a statement, it's just because it makes it easier for the camera not to film you. But if you have these issues, please take a seat on the back. Second, I am, of course, very proud to be here now and present BCCP and present this outstanding program, this great conference. But I would be remiss if I did not give credit to one person in particular, Hannes Ulrich, who is sitting there, and the fantastic team that supported us. The list of participants is outstanding, and the participants know that because they received many emails from Hannes. Because he never gave up. We started 1 year ago to think about this conference, and for 1 year, we really, really tried hard to get these people come to Berlin. So Hannes is my go-to partner. He resolved all the nasty issues about this conference and is really a great help in managing and planning the entire Berlin Center for Consumer Policies. So generally, these thanks come at the end, but now is my spotlight. Now I can say it, and then I want to say, Hannes, thank you very much for your incredibly good work. And so now it's time to start. I truly hope you will enjoy this conference. I'm sure we will have a lively debate. We have the best speakers on these issues. So we start with the first session. Dirk Engelmann from the Humboldt University will chair this session. I hope you will enjoy it, and thank you very much.